individuals, we have to think about the people, and we have to think about the objectives. So when it comes to the means, what are the means with which or through which or relying on which we can get a sense of nurturing a culture of coexistence? As I said, the starting point should be the frame, and law are important, teaching the law, knowing the law, abiding by the law of the country. But there is something here which it's important when it comes to deal with the culture of coexistence, is to take seriously the civil society. And that's something that we had, in fact, in our history. It's less the case in many Muslim majority countries, but the civil society, what is between the state and the individuals, is this dynamic where, in fact, the culture of coexistence should come from there. So this is where we need to get a sense that we are together, we live together. So to take the civil society seriously, I will surprise you, but it's to talk about power. It's to talk about power. It's not only the power of the state, it's the power of the people, the power to change things. And in fact, in our tradition, by the way, not only in the Muslim tradition, but all the spiritual and the religious traditions, something which is the humility that you have towards God will never be at the price of the knowledge of the power that you have. And the power that you have is two types of power. Change yourself, change the world. Change yourself, change the world. The starting point of a civil society is an individual understanding that the relationship that you have with God is to change yourself, and the relationship that you have with your fellow human beings is change the world for the better. And this has to be a motto for the civil society, that how together in this culture of coexistence, you are not alone, and you can't work alone. Even with the time, because we have been referring to the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, but everywhere in our society, look at the very beginning. It's even the Prophet ﷺ relying on people of other faiths, or even on the polytheistic traditions that were against him, relying on the people to be able to escape from Mecca to go to Medina. So it was not only us versus all the others. So the sense of being together is important. The third, so this is the civil society and all the institutions, and I think it's very important what we heard today. There is an underestimate, or they are under the notion of awqaf. It's underestimated in our tradition. So when you see that we have to come back and to promote this, to understand the sense that there is something which is coming from individuals connected to the states and providing something to the society which is a gift, which is something that doesn't belong to somebody but should belong to everybody, and to serve the community in a way which is important. And this also, the institution, we have institutions and we have mechanisms in our tradition that are very important. Zakat is a very powerful. If we understand zakat is not a means to assist people. Zakat is a means to help the people to be autonomous. It's the way towards autonomy, not the way towards assistance. We pay zakat to help the people not to have to pay zakat in the future. Not stay as you are, we pay zakat and wait for next year. So it's the whole philosophy of zakat is completely different from what we are doing today. Add to this that there is no understanding of zakat as a dynamic helping this. How do you have a sense? Because the culture of coexistence is a culture of solidarity and rights, solidarity with the people of your community and with the people with your society, whatever their religious belongings. And if you understand that you have to change your society for the better, you understand something, that a medical doctor, when he is dealing with a human being, is not asking him or her, what is your religion and do you have money? That's not the business of a doctor. A doctor is, whatever your money, whatever your religion, I'm going to treat you because this is the fundamental rights you have over me. So we don't ask for your origin, you don't ask, this is your serve humanity. That's something which is essential. And in our understanding of zakat was sadaqat, it's something which is essential in the way we have to deal with this. There is no way to implement rightly zakat if we don't get a sense of how the state is working where we are at the local level. This is a complementary means that we have, and sometimes we are not connecting this. So awqaf and zakat in our tradition are very important means, and there are many things that we can also take from other traditions. We are open to all wise progress. Everything which is good is ours. I'm always having a very simple way to putting it. You discuss with somebody, he has a good idea, it's yours. He has a bad idea, it's his. That's it. Keep it for yourself. I'm not going to take it. But I think everything that you have good is mine. That's the way, which is al-hikmah to dallatul Muslim. Wisdom is the lost property of the Muslim. Wherever he or she finds it, you took it. But if it's not wise, keep it. I'm not going to use it. So second point is the fields, and I would say something that was also crossing all what we are saying. There is no culture of coexistence without education. The way we teach. Now we are dealing with something which is essentially poor education in many ways, but in the book, The Quest for Meaning, I was saying every single human being should be connected to history, knowledge of religions, because you can't be free if you are ignorant about your religion. There are two things that are not going together. Ignorance and freedom are not going together. Freedom, it's about knowledge. So history of philosophy, thoughts, the way, look at what we are witnessing now with this Facebook culture. It's the faster you go, the better you think. That's wrong. It's the deeper you go, and you need time. So to teach how to think, it's essential. That's also education, which is important. And something that I may surprise you, so history of religion, philosophy, for example, history of thoughts, but also imagination, culture, arts, poetry. That's us. This is what it means to have a culture of coexistence. That is binding us together is a language and beauty. Beauty is essential. Imagination, this is part of the collective psychology, and we have to work on this. Dialogue between cultures and religions, but not only between. We have a deep problem now with an intra-religious dialogue, and sometimes it's easier to talk to people of other faiths than to talk to Muslims. Look at what is happening now between the Shia and the Sunni, which is problematic. So working together, this is also the fields where we have to come together, and we should not work together only based on our religions. We should work together based on projects. When it comes to solidarity, when it comes to education, when it comes to serving the community, it's a project-driven collaboration, not within our community versus the other or forgetting the other. And what also it's important is in which way we can have this building bridges, which is a mindset that you need to have, and it's not always easy. You know, we are all very quick to be open-minded in closed circles. Open-minded in closed circles among our people. We are open-minded. It's easy. But to get out of your comfort zone and to deal with others, to get a sense of what they think, the way you have to respect, the way you have to know. That's something which is, this is the culture of coexistence. To have some courage, the courage to go and to know. And the Muslims they like one verse, the Muslims. They like it so much. Wherever you go, in interfaith dialogue, they come and say, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We made you nations and tribes in order for you to know each other. But they are always saying this to the people. They say, you have to know us. But what about you Muslims? You have to know them. So you are ignorant of the world and you tell to the people, try to know us. That's unfair. لِتَعَارَفُوا in Arabic, it's on equal footing. It's a two-way process. And we have to know, what do you know about the other religions? What do you know about the people who are your neighbor? To the point that the Prophet is saying, لَا يُؤْمِنُ أَحَدُكُمْ حَتَّى يُحِبَّ لِجَارِهِ مَا يُحِبُّهُ لِنَفْسِهِ. So you are not to have a complete faith if you don't like for your neighbor, and the neighbor is not only the Muslim, what you like for yourself. But if you deny his humanity, what are you going to do? You are not fulfilling the faith that is required. Very quickly, the people, and I think that I spoke about citizenship, but you know, I made myself a mistake for 20 years. I have been talking to Western Muslims by saying, you have to be citizens. And that's good, but not at the price that I am witnessing now. I see Western Muslims And even in your country it happens. Everywhere it happens. When we have a sense, too much a sense of nationalism, we end up being in a very dangerous situation. When our citizenship, it's at the price of our common humanity. And this is why what we heard about the migrant, for example, it's very important, the refugees. This is why we have to celebrate and to say, at least in Turkey, compared to all the other countries in the region, the refugees have been welcomed, with millions of people being welcomed in the country. And this is an example when you see that in Canada, they're happy to have 25,000. In Canada, a rich country, 25,000. And then you have Germany, which was leading in Europe, but so many countries not doing, and even some of them closing the door to the migrants in Eastern Europe. You can't have a dignified citizenship if you don't have a dignified sense of humanity. Migrants, and refugees are human beings, and you have to welcome and to protect their dignity. You can't just think about our people. So that's exactly the discussion that we have with terrorists, for example, and I said it many times. I'm not going to say I am Paris if you are not going to say with me, I am Damascus, I am Baghdad, I am Sana'a, I am Palestine and Gaza, and all this. It's not my people, and then I think about the others. That's not us. That's not a sense of, so no citizenship without a sense of humanity. And then we have also to say that what we also have to struggle is men and women. Wherever we speak about equality, but we have to be serious about this, that we have a great deal of problems when it comes to the equality of men and women before law and in the job market and with the salary. This is also a struggle about the sense of coexistence within. And as I said, no way of accepting any type of racism in a culture of coexistence. Racism is unacceptable. All type of racism, there is no hierarchy between races. So anti-Semitism is wrong, anti-black discourse is wrong, anti-Muslims is wrong, anti-whatever is wrong, because by definition, there is no difference between any human being. That's something which is important. And I would say, to end with this, the objectives that we need to have are values that are important and common values. The first one is the dignity, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, the dignity of human being. It's justice, as we were talking. Justice is, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ, God commends justice, which is important. Equality is that we are all equal before law, as it was said. Freedom is essential, and freedom of conscience, freedom of thinking, freedom of expression is also important. And I would say that there are two things that we might have to add. For many years I have been saying, the most important value in Islam is justice. I changed my mind when I wrote the book on the Prophet ﷺ by saying the most important value in Islam is peace. Salamat al-nafs wa salamat al-mujtama. And salamat al-nafs is a sense where, be careful, with all the index that we have with the GDP and everything, we might have to rethink our way of dealing with what is the objective of coexistence, is peace inside and peace in between. And peace is essential as something which I like what the Bhutan's people did, and the government, by saying, the index of happiness, it's important. Don't tell me how much money you have, but how much happy you could be. It's also something which has to do with our living together. Thank you.